The Mole and His Mother. A mole, a creature blind from birth, once said to his mother, I'm sure then I can see, mother." Um, in the desire to prove to him his mistake, his mother placed before him a few grains of frankincense and asked, "What is it?" The young mole said, it is a pebble." His mother exclaimed, "My son, I am afraid that you are not only blind, but that you have lost your sense of smell." So here we have a mole. There's a creature blind from birth. He says, "I'm sure then I can see, mother." When, at least in contemporary modern day talk, we say, "I'm sure that I can see, mother." But all right, so I am sure that I can see, mother. In the desire to prove to him his mistake, his mother placed before him a few grains of frankincense and asked, "What is it?" The young mole said, "It is a pebble." His mother exclaimed, "My son, I'm afraid that you're not only blind, but you have lost your sense of smell." Um, Essentially, the fact that frankincense is a particular smell, and he's saying it's a pebble. He didn't smell, the scent that was emanating from the frankincense. A pebble, obviously, um, this story I believe is sort of implying that a pebble doesn't smell like anything, right? Or maybe it smells like the sea. Um, but what I took from it is, it's a rock. If it was like a clean rock that was just totally clean or picked off from, out of nature, it really doesn't smell like much. That's kind of how I took it. Um, and he's saying you're blind, but now you've lost your sense of smell. So he's saying, the message is an interesting one here. It's a little harsh because it's not like this creature, did anything wrong, um, to be blind. He was blind from birth. My takeaway from it is that you should work on. It's interesting because comparing it to real life, like stories that you read or stories that you know about, or that you've lived through. If something bad happens to somebody, and then they're told they might never walk again, and they were going to try to walk. Um, and sometimes it's a miracle. They end up walking. A lot of times it doesn't happen. Sometimes with a lot of effort, and obviously some life luck, they're able to walk again. Uh, but a lot of times, but since this mole was blind since birth, it's very a little bit different. When there's something that is awful that has been since birth. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, obviously, but you know, um, it's kind of like the mother is saying, the message of this story partially seems to be that, to be content with who you are and your limitations, and to work on what you can work on, obviously, but that to be grateful for what you've got. Also, it's kind of the opposite of what we might expect or what we might hope, because this is kind of unfortunate, right? A mole's blind from birth, so doesn't have one of the five senses. So you would hope that if since the mole was blind, that maybe his or her sense of smell would be heightened, or another sense, which is often the case, I believe, for folks who don't have a particular sense. A sense. If a particular sense has been gone, especially their whole life or for a long, long time, generally speaking, I believe, um, you might see them be a lot stronger with other senses. But this is kind of the opposite. This is like saying, look, he was blind since birth, but now it's getting even worse, because now you've lost your sense of smell. So some of these are kind of sad. This is kind of sad, unfortunate. Um, but looking at the messages, saying, look, you have the same messages of life, regardless, whether or not your life, has, tragedy or unfortunate things in it. You have the same messages that you can't really avoid. So it's interesting because um, Aesop, I think, is trying to be very, um, I guess, fair with his assessment of like these messages of how to improve your life and gratitude and humility and and just with his message. So this was somewhat unfortunate, um, but basically he's saying kind of like it is what it is. That you want to well, I also believe that could he you know did he really lose his sense of smell, or is she razzing him? Is she making fun? I think that perhaps just from what this two-line story is saying, that perhaps he has. But then again, the mom could be razzing him. I mean, there are a lot of different you know, takeaways that are potential interpretations of the story, and that's what makes these stories, I think, so intriguing. Like even now. So, but it also means to keep, I think, basically keep plugging away. And then also, I think delusion, even though it's an unfortunate situation, I think that that's really what Aesop is getting at. He's blind since birth, and we don't know how old the mole is. I'm guessing he's younger because he's saying, I'm sure I can see mother, like he's hanging out with his mom instead of his wife or his girlfriend or his um other people who might be in your life more as you get older. So I'm guessing he's younger, maybe 5 or 12 or 16 or whatnot. But you know and the desire to prove to him his mistake. So but I don't know if she was serious or not. Perhaps it is a joke. um you know and again, with any of these videos, if anyone knows exactly, based on their research or their homework, like what the true, analysis is, like was his mom making fun of him or was this real, put it in the comments below. That'd be awesome. And But yeah, so my son, I am afraid that you are not only blind, but that you have lost your sense of smell. Unfortunate, but there it is. And I think that Aesop was aiming at that, just to not be delusional. That we shouldn't be delusional. Like, if you're born blind, you're not just gonna, sprinkle fairy dust and have it all of a sudden, change. Um, and It's a little bit harsh, but he's basically saying, look, don't be delusional, folks. Even if you're born blind and you're trying to pretend or hope that you're not gonna be blind anymore. Um, so that was the takeaway that I got from this story. The Mole and His Mother. Thank you very much.